Hello and welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I'll be your host today. How's everybody doing? Hello, Henny. Hi, Crystal. Good to see you. Hi, Kim. I have Ben with me here today. There he is. So, Gumby, you didn't do Gumby, Dammit?
There, I had to mute the other. Lovely, huh? I was wondering though, what I don't know if we covered this when you were talking about your earlier experience. What do you think was the first sign, the first aha moment that you had that led to your leaving that cult you were a part of?
It wasn't any one thing. It was an accumulation of things, but the biggest thing that kind of got me to where I was over it
Hmm.
was somebody that she was in real estate and she made good money.
Hmm.
And she ended up in a situation where she was basically just whatever the pastors said for her to do, she had to do it, kind of thing. She
Hmm.
was being handled in some really weird way. I tried to sell her a vacuum cleaner one time when I was selling rainbow vacuum cleaners,
Hmm.
and she was all ready to buy it, and they told her that no, don't. They told her not to buy it. In other words, so that's how much they were running her life and her finances.
Wow. Now that
Yeah,
is an authoritarian system. I was
yeah,
going to ask if
yeah.
how that worked, but yeah. So yeah, I could
But
see that.
but it wasn't that. The thing that got me the most was she would come to church drunk. She'd sit right in front of my row, and I could
Mm-hmm.
smell it, and I knew, and I kept wanting to reach out to her,
Sure.
and I kept not doing it, and she ended up in the hospital,
Mm.
basically on her deathbed, and
Uh,
the pastor said something about he got after she died. He said that you know they basically got her into heaven by the skin of her chinny chin chin or whatever kind of thing,
mm.
and I caught a wind of enough that they basically tormented that woman as she was dying.
Mm. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
So that, I'd heard enough about, what that was like with them in the hospital with her.
Mhm.
And when he said that from the pulpit, I knew what that looked like. And I was just like, I was appalled. I was horrified that she had to
Did
leave this earth that way. She was already so tormented that
mm.
she started coming to church drunk, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh sure. Yeah. Did they assign new names to people, or was that something they avoided?
No, no, no,
Okay.
nothing like that.
Okay. Yeah, because that was one of the things that was really going up and down the cult checklist, and not every cult checks every criteria, but that's one of the keys to disassociation. I say dissociation. I mean disassociation, not dissociative identity disorder. I mean the two
Yeah,
are two different things. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that,
That was the beginning of the end for me. And
okay.
my friends, and I'm still friends with to this day, ended up
Hmm.
leaving.
Hmm.
And I don't know how I ended up on the phone, and I don't know whether he called me or I called him, but I was on the phone with the pastor right after they left. And I said to him, and I don't even remember what we were talking about, so I don't remember the context or anything. But I do remember saying to him, I said, being in your church is a lot like being in an abusive relationship. And that is something that I know quite a bit about.
Yeah.
And of course, he, quickly changed the subject, but, I just kind of sat there on the phone with him like, you heard me. I didn't say that, but I was just like, I said what I said.
Good,
And as far
good
as
for
I was
you.
yeah, I've never regretted that I said that to him. And he
Yeah,
would
and
probably,
Yeah.
he might even deny that I said it, but I know I said it. And if
well,
he were
and
to, have a non-convenient memory, he would remember it too.
that was one of the things. And I know this one person. Her name's Christy. She would be really proud of you too. But she's got odd events happening in her life, and she's drinking out of a big honking mug with her shirt sleeves up to here, like on what's that
I
show?
love that mug so much.
What's
That's
that?
what my smile was. It wasn't for the story.
Hot
Like
dads.
like a Lifetime movie. But that was one of the things
Did,
that
did you see my mug, Ben?
I
I love.
I
Heart.
love hot dads.
Oh,
Michael thought I needed a new mug, so he went to Spencer's and got me one that says "I love hot dads."
no. Good for you. That's,
Speaking of straightening somebody out, I do have a story around that.
mhm.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
now I can. Yeah.
Okay. There was this guy being horrendous to the baristas in Starbucks yesterday. I mean, he was being awful. He was a door dasher and he was berating them. He said he'd been standing there and he's like, "You guys need to structure your business around me. I've been waiting here." Like he had this one girl all flustered and frazzled and she was about
Oh.
to cry. So I was standing there
Oh,
and I'm like, "Hey, hey, hey, hey." I'm like, "No, no, act like a good human. No, we don't talk this way to other people." I'm like, "They're just doing their job. They don't make the rules. They don't
Mm-hmm.
determine anything." I'm like, "You're the door dasher. Starbucks does not revolve around you." And he's like, "Well, I've got, this to do and they haven't taken care of me." And I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry, but they have a job to do too. And their job is not to drop everything because you walk in the door." And I'm like,
Woohoo.
"You're running their day. Like, look at them. You're running their day." And then he looked at me, I'm dead serious. And he goes, "I just don't know how I can have a good day after this." And I'm like, "Well, you run her day."
Oh.
And then here was the best part. So I had my big sunglasses on. Where are they? Oh, here. Let me go get them. You gotta get the full effect. You have to get the full effect. So this is what I did. I went, "Maybe you should think of a positive thought." He just shut up. He just shut up. He didn't say anything else. Do you know what? The dude was in the wrong Starbucks.
oh my
He was
God.
not even at the right place. And he was making those people feel horrendous. He didn't show up to the right Starbucks.
What a great way to handle a
Did
confrontation,
he
though. What a
confess that,
good.
or how did you find that out?
No,
Did he?
the lady was looking and she's like looking, 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 and she's like, "We don't have your order." And he's like, "It's right here." And she was looking at it on his phone and she goes, "This isn't us." Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you,
yes.
universe. And I was just,
Yes.
I was just like this. I was like, wonder
I'm proud
the
of you, though.
glasses.
What a.
It's not as effective without the glass. So then I was like really mad and I was shaking inside. I just, and then I was like, "Man, I should shut up. Like I might get into a fight." And then I looked at the dude and I'm like, "Oh, I could totally take him. Like I could take him." I go back out to the car and I'm marching out and I've got the two lattes and I'm just like, and I get into the car, and Michael's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "You won't believe it." So I'm telling the story, and then he goes, turns out the dude was parked in front of us. He goes, "Is it that guy?" And I go, "Oh, it is that guy." Yeah, I
love
it.
I do
Horrendous.
too. It's amazing.
That is a great way, though, a great illustration of how to confront somebody without being so over the top. That is a great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think it's positive. Like,
Just giving him a little bit of
Yeah.
advice. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand why you would waste the gift of life going through life that way.
Yeah.
yeah. And we all have bad days, right? And I have worked, so for those of you who don't know, I've worked retail and sales for 25 years. So I've dealt with multi-million-dollar customers. I've done all kinds of sales. And so I get what it's like. Like people have a
Mhm.
bad day and they come in and they think that they can take it out on you. And for the most
Yeah.
part, you just let it roll off your back. But I mean, this woman was almost in tears. She was like a kid. And I was just like, no, we're not doing this today. No.
Oh,
As my mom would say, not today, Satan, not today. So like, no.
what a great way though to stand up for that crew, and
Little train and don't come back.
that is really a great illustration of how to stand up for those people who are being abused and to leave them better than you found them. That is
Right
really
on.
good. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I am too.
Sassiness, it was not well thought through.
Sometimes that's the only way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
too. I loved it. I was like, be positive. Shut
Yeah.
up, though.
Right.
I
Right.
just like, yeah, I mean, it was not fun. But
No.
then I did get to see the beautiful pink magnolia trees. I found out what they were. So those are pink magnolia trees. It was gorgeous. And then got to go to the Mount Pilar. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, George Washington stayed there. Apparently, he bought a plow or something from the guy. And so,
Flowers.
inside wasn't so amazing, but the outside was gorgeous. And
Right
it's a
on.
state park, so it's free. You can walk onto the grounds. So I might have to go back because I really liked those trees in bloom. Might have to change my clothes and go back and take some more pictures.
Even though that outfit's still super cute. Just saying.
Oh, I know. I need some, I have like two really cute outfits that are good for this time of year. So I think I need to like maybe find, a couple other shirts.
Oh, darn.
Oh, right. Today my t-shirt says the horrors persist, but so do I. That
I love that.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. Get that in a
Mhm.
pair of sassy sunglasses. You too can rule Starbucks. Didn't even have to throw cheese or bust out a turkey leg.
Oh, I love it.
On this side of the country, he slept everywhere. So, I mean, it's kind of a cute little house. Like, it was interesting. But I
Did it
really
have
like
low
that.
doorways?
Doorway's so short, I could touch the top of the doorway.
Yeah.
I mean,
My
yeah, they were short.
Really?
So yes.
from that
I was
time period, for some reason they did doorways that were like 5 feet or maybe not, or maybe a little taller for some
yeah.
reason. You had to duck to go through them. I guess the
They were
average
trying to
people
knock
went,
people unconscious? Like,
Accidentally like shove him into the door, be like, here, go in here. Thunk. Oh gosh.
yeah.
No, I don't know. Or like were people just that short? I don't know. But speaking of short, I did get to talk to somebody shorter than me. It doesn't happen
That makes
often.
me feel good.
I relish those moments. I'm like, oh, this is what tall people feel like. Isn't that sad? A fellow hobbit. But, I mean, still. So that was my exciting adventure. Told off someone in Starbucks, talked to someone shorter than me, and a great photo shoot that I did all on my own.
oh,
Nice.
it keeps. I keep
Keeps being
trying to
silly?
pin comments and I keep getting knocked to the next one.
Oh,
Still trying to do it. I'm gonna give up for a minute, y'all.
my other keeper, I have a very intense mom face. It only shows up when I am really. I think there's a few people who have seen it, and you know it. But as many kids as we've got, and grandkids, you kind of develop that. I try not to shoot the mom face at people, you know, mostly because I think I end up looking like that little squishy mushroom on the video games, and I'm like, like it's not cute. It's not a cute mom face, right? Some people have really cute faces, and I'm just, like,
Yep, I used to be five. I used to be 5'5" or 5'7.5". Now I'm just 5'7". So yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
terrifies me. If I'm gonna shrink, y'all, I'm gonna have to get those little things that people who paint, those painters, those still walkie things.
Still, yeah.
I'm gonna have to get those. I'll be like, here's Christy. Like, oh God, No, Zelda, I'm not hysterical. I'm just a sat. But, yeah, that was my exciting trip. That was my exciting
Right
trip.
on. Well, cool though. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
The
good.
first time I ever saw one of those pink magnolias was in New Orleans in February. They were blooming, and I was just wow. I was enthralled with those trees.
I know, they're so beautiful. Like I had
Mhm.
never seen one. I didn't know. I mean, I knew that the leaves were huge. Like the
Yeah.
flowers were just enormous.
Yeah.
And I know there's only like a small window of time. So like that one picture where I was laying down, I was trying to get the daffodils in there, and then there was like that flowering magnolia tree behind it, but I don't know, it didn't all kind of quite work. So yeah, but I'm always on the hunt.
Oh, there were stunning photos, and I'm happy that you guys got away for a couple of days. At least
Yeah.
relax for a couple of days.
Yeah, it was. Oh, well, hopefully I'm the exception to the rule and I won't shrink. Maybe the universe is like short enough. Let's not traumatize her. I might be on saying I need in the meeting. Be like, I'm 4'5". I can't do this. How do I function? Yeah, I mean, I do know that people shrink a little bit. That's why I always try to like stand up straight and sit up straight, and like give myself I don't know. But hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Oh God. And then here she comes. You can't pet one without the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys gotta go. And then they just, and then they take over. All right, go on. Go. I know. I love you. You're just the best guy that ever was. Go lay down. I feel bad calling them their crate or their kennel, so I'm like, go to your room. My girl just looks at me like, yeah, I married her.
I had a thought regarding my sobriety yesterday, and I didn't entertain it, and so I've lost it. But I was a couple years into it, and by this time I was fully immersed in a church situation, and just in a church meeting, it just really just hit me so hard, having given my baby up for adoption. I was, I was, one of the reasons was, with my brother being abusive to me, I was like, I wasn't confident that I wouldn't be an abuser, and, I had a counselor tell me like decades later, if you ask if you're that way, you're not, because the person who is never questions themselves ever. And And, you know, and of course by then I knew that I wasn't that person anyway, but,
Mm,
you know, it just hit me so hard that you know, I'm sober now and I'm doing good. I have a job. You
mm,
know, I'm keeping up with life. I'm doing what needs to be done where I hadn't been before. I hadn't had a home. I was couch hopping for like my last two couple of years,
mm.
so, drinking and using, and you know, and I just cried because it's like it would have been all right. It's
Yeah.
you know, it never occurred to me that getting sober was a thing.
Mm,
You
Oh,
know, and it really didn't occur to me that I needed to get sober. I just knew that my life was a mess.
mm,
mhm.
mm.
You know, and I knew that drugs and alcohol were a part of it, but I never really put all that together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 It's one thing to know it, but it's another thing to actually grasp a hold of it and make
Yep.
it yours, and then to
Mhm.
personalize it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Did the church ever make you feel bad for giving your son up for adoption?
Oh no, I was so that I mean, they're all about that, you know.
Wow, that's kind of. Mm,
You know, I mean, a lot of your adoption agencies are Christian or
mm,
church groups, you know,
oh,
or in the
Oh, I
past
did
they
not
have
know that.
been. Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
You know,
mm,
I
oh,
mean,
okay.
I don't want to get political here, but you know,
Right.
that's what, you know, a certain
mhm,
you know, a certain we want things this way. I'll just leave it there.
Mhm.
mm,
Would
Mm-hmm.
prefer that, you know, that every woman do that instead of,
Right.
you
Anything
know.
else? Gotcha. Okay.
And so, yeah, no, I was totally golden in their eyes
Oh,
for that.
okay.
But, you
mm.
know, it didn't help me not feel like a piece of trash
Right.
'cause,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, who hands their kid over to somebody they don't even know? I met with them a few times when I was pregnant,
Mm,
you know,
Mhm.
and it finally got to the point where when he was around 9 years old, I, uh, I wrote to them and asked, said to tell them that I'm sober now. I'm doing well in life, and you know, I regret having completely cut my child out of my life, and I was wondering if there was
mm,
any way that, you know, there could be any kind of relationship.
mm.
And
Mhm.
oh no, that was shut down immediately. But at least they didn't ghost me. A lot of women who give their children up for adoption get ghosted.
Sure.
Like they get promised that they'll get letters and pictures and updates like that, and
Mm,
then the people just move and fall off the face of the earth. And
yeah.
so they didn't do that to me. So to their credit.
Mm.
Mhm.
So you did get pictures of him when he was growing up?
Hmm. I did.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's Crystal. I thank you for saying this, but I did what I did out of sheer terror. I was
Mm,
so scared,
yeah.
you know, and my life was in such flux
Mm,
that I couldn't see where I was going to be landing, you know, but I could see that more likely than not, it was not going to be a good landing, you
mm,
know, and I did think it was not fair, that it was unfair for this new clean slate of a life, you know, to be in that. And but I was not courageous to do it. I was scared, you know, and everything around my doing it was fear based.
Okay.
Everything,
mm,
you know, and you know, and when you've got those hormones pulsating through you, those pregnancy hormones, you know, it amplifies every emotion, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, and it's difficult when you're younger. I mean, like you weren't a teenager, but when you're a younger single person who's having a baby out of wedlock, that's scary. I mean, like it's just it's a very scary place to be.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I was there. My situation looked a little different, but that doesn't mean it wasn't terrifying. It wasn't
Right.
absolutely scary.
Yeah.
And there's so much uncertainty. I mean, with children in general, there's a lot of uncertainty. But I think when you're a single mom, and especially around that time frame, it was, I can understand. I mean, I can see like where that fear was at.
Yeah.
So what was it like when did you reach out to Luke when he turned
Yeah, I
18, or
did.
did he reach out to you?
I didn't right away. I was kind of waiting on him,
Mhm.
and you know, a year went by, another year, and you know, it was whatever the doomsday was that was predicted for 2012, and I just thought, you
Mm,
know, just in
mm,
case,
yeah.
Right,
I don't want to
right,
go out
right,
of here without having done at least something to connect, you
Mhm.
Yeah.
know, and that's the only thing that gave me any kind of courage to reach out to him. I was trying really hard to wait for him, but it was so hard.
Mhm.
And even then it took him about 4 years to be able to reach out in person.
Mm.
Okay.
You
Now, does he
know,
still
he moves slow, and his pace is just, you know, he has to really fully be able to, you know, embrace a thing like that, you
yeah,
know. Most people are
Yeah.
that way, you know, but
especially
maybe him a little
like,
bit more than the average bear.
now, he still talks to his adoptive parents and to you? Does he have a relationship with all of you?
He has a relationship with me. Right now, the relationship with the adoptive parents is strained. I'm sad, you
Mm.
know, and they've reached out to me a few times to check on him and, you know, that kind of thing.
Mhm,
That
mhm.
is so good. I admire adoptive parents like that, Zelda.
Yeah,
You were
Yeah.
yeah,
lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really were. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, it's not my wheel. It's not where I have no, what am I trying to say? It's not appropriate for me to get in the middle of that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has his own reasons, and they're valid to him. And, you know, I'm hoping that it will change and that on both ends it'll be a better
Yeah.
relationship. But yeah, it got strained to the point where he's not willing to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and how old is he?
He's 32. He just turned, oh, today is his birthday.
Today.
Wow.
Today. Yes.
Birthday.
We went and gave him his present yesterday, and yeah. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good.
I was going to read this comment here. I took the sister I had who was adopted out until our 50s to look for each other with 23andMe. Okay. Yeah, there's a whole lot of tools now that can help with that search.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
wonder, Kara, would you encourage adoption? Like with
No,
your experience?
no, no way.
No?
No.
Mm.
I would never wish that on my worst enemy.
Okay.
Never.
Hmm.
Mm.
Never, ever, ever. You know, you have to go to bed every night thinking about your own child and what they're thinking when they're putting their head down on their pillow. Like, why did my mom want me? And that haunted me every
Mm.
Yeah.
day, every
Mm.
day. You know, and kids look to their parents and their immediate family as
Mhm.
their guidepost, their way to
Right.
learn how to navigate and function and think through this world. And you know, there's a DNA thing that goes deeper than just nurture. Not that an adoptive parent cannot be the most loving, nurturing parents, but there is a mystery there.
Mm.
And it can be a very scary mystery. A lot of people are afraid to look up their birth parents because, I don't know what I'm going to get if I do this,
Yeah.
and that, and, if you really break it down, in order to adopt a fresh bun out of the oven, so to speak, somebody who's giving their newborn up for adoption, and there's a lot of exploitation in that industry.
Mm.
People play on mothers' fears instead of helping them have the confidence that they can parent their child. They're all about, because there's so much money in it.
Mm.
There's so much money that changes hands in adoption. I'm just, not, and they're exploiting people's desire, people who desire kids, and they're exploiting terrified moms, and they're blowing up one family to create another family that may
Wow.
or may not work out
Right.
to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Not that, it's all a crapshoot when you're born. You're
Yeah.
born into a family, and that's a crapshoot too.
Yeah. Right. Right. It makes me really thankful because when I got pregnant with Dally, that was an option I didn't have to consider. And it was still very hard to be a single mom, even though I
Yeah.
was 20 years old. There was a lot of ridicule and stuff that I faced. And um, I'm thankful, but it's always interesting to hear somebody who chose a different path, like their story, like what did that look like? And I'm just so thankful. My parents helped me so much. My dad helped me so much with Dally. Like
That's
they were
good.
super close.
Mm.
He was like her dad. I mean, her
Yeah.
biological dad was not great when she was little. Well, he wasn't great until she was like in her 20s. Um, but that was like her dad. Like my dad was her dad. And they were really, really close. And I was so lucky.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, you
understood that,
were. Yeah.
to have because I mean it was an issue with the church. Like it really did become
Yeah.
an issue with the church and why my dad quit going to church.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Wow.
and the way I was treated by some people, was
Yeah.
not nice. And my
Yeah.
parents had to do
And we're
that.
talking this side of the 21st century. It's
Yeah,
just
she was
Mm.
mind-boggling.
Yeah, she was
Mhm.
born in 96. Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
yeah. Yeah. And I still kind of have to fight and argue with people. I still kind of got looked down on. Um,
Mm.
but I mean, I was there and she changed my life in such a profound way. Like she really did.
Yeah.
She if it wasn't for her, I don't know where I would have been, truthfully. It was so important
Um,
to me, to do the best I could. And I remember the one thing my dad said to me. He's like, because her dad did want to get married, and my dad's like, look, marriage is hard enough. You don't have to do this. Like you've already made one not so great choice. Let's
that
not
is such
compound this.
wisdom. So many people in
Yeah.
the, belief
Oh,
system that
this
he was in.
generation. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he did. He told me, he's like, because I mean, I was panicked. I didn't know what the hell to do. I mean, it
Mhm.
was hard enough to tell my parents. I didn't know how I was going to tell everybody else. I didn't know what everybody was going to say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but that's what he said. He's like, marriage is hard enough. Don't make a bunch of bad choices. Like you've made one, let's stop there. Like
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
stop the bleeding. And um and
Yeah.
I did. I mean, and
Wow.
God, I'm so thankful. I cannot tell you how thankful I am that my dad literally just looked me square in the eyes and said, you do not have to do this. Because
Right
I
on.
kind of thought maybe I did, I
Yeah.
mean, like, and
Yeah.
oh man, that would have been the worst.
Yeah. And who's to say that people still would have accepted you? There still would have been that tinge of judgment there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, if they start from that place, if they're coming at you from that place,
yeah.
that's how they are.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. And I had some of the worst, like the people that were supposed to be the most, whatever. Like, sure,
Mhm.
sure
Yeah.
you're being and understanding and nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I do understand like how poor have been, in some situations. And, you know, uh,
Mhm.
it's always interesting to hear other stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
What do open adoptions like? Was that even an option when you put Luke up for adoption?
Well,
Like,
the
what do
the
those look
letters
like
and the
in the
picture
States?
the letters and the pictures um are kind of what they considered open adoption. That was
Oh,
as
wow.
open as it would get.
Oh,
I
wow.
love that Canada
Yeah.
has a different story
Mm.
because that mystery is too big to put on a child to have to
Yeah.
contend with.
I have a foster sibling who when I met Jenny, she was 2, and we called her Tummy Mummy.
Mhm.
Tummy Mummy would come see her 4 to 5 times a year.
Oh.
Yeah, and so that was that, and that happened all the way until I left care, and it still happened after. And then when she was 18, to continue the relationship then was her choice, and how that had worked for them and how that looked for them. That was up to the mom and Jenny, but I loved the aspect of seeing them connect because yeah, my foster mom was her mom and did everything for her, but I also saw the love that came from her tummy mummy, and I also saw the pain. You know what I mean? Like that she made the decision she needed to make, and that kind of gave me a completely different respect and outlook on adoptive, like on people who have to put their children up for adoption or choose to put their children up for adoption.
Mhm.
So I was grateful for that experience because it gave me some insight later on in life that if I didn't have that experience, I probably would have made different choices.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
And I wanted to say, Sandy Wandy, your dad sounds cool. My dad was amazing. Like he was so ahead of his time, really, for growing up the way he did, and me growing up as strict as I did. He was really, really all about like making sure that I had a good life and that my daughter had a good life, and
Yeah.
he really he didn't like I think my dad knew I was just gonna like jack it up. I mean, he knew that of me and my brother, I was the one that was gonna be the worst, you know. Um and
Aw.
he just always was there. I mean, and
Yeah.
even when I told him, like I was terrified to tell him. And the only thing my dad said to me, like I swear, was I wish you hadn't done that. That's all he said. Like that's all he
Mm.
said. And then he got on his horse and he went for like a 4-hour horse ride. Um, but that was it. My dad never made me feel bad. He never him and well, my mom either. But it was never anything like that. And and again, I was very fortunate. A lot of who I am is because of my dad. I mean, there's a lot of my dad in me. My oldest
Yeah.
friend, Wendy, she's been a friend of mine for, well, we're only a year apart, so we literally grew up together. She's like, I couldn't meet anybody more your dad than you. So, it's
Aw.
cool how that influences things too.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
People tell Steve that he's a lot like his dad, and everyone who ever met him loved him.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. You know, it's, I think it's just amazing how different everybody's families are, and how different you come out the other side. Like, you can have somebody who had really awful parents, and they can come out and be wonderful, amazing people. And
Yeah, sure.
I mean, there's no one set thing. I think it's just how you know I don't want to say
Mhm.
choose to live your life, but I think a lot of it is conscious choices, like
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
the choices you make,
yeah,
and things. I think that they do set you up down the road. And like I said, I've just had a lot of dumb luck in love too, because you left to my own devices, I don't know that I would have made fabulous choices.
And honestly, I think if it wasn't, I hated the idea at the time being a foster kid, but if it wasn't for my foster parents, I wouldn't understand what certain aspects of life look like, what
Yeah.
certain aspects of like what real parenting is, not
Mhm.
just the distant parenting, which is what I was used to, you
yeah,
know?
Mhm.
So, and some of the experiences, the comment that you had put up there, like going to Europe and doing orphanage work with them, like if I didn't have that opportunity, I probably would have still hated the fact that I was in foster care and
Mhm.
still hated
right.
the fact that I was signed off Crown Ward. But then Latvia wasn't so bad. Belarus, though, that was difficult to see because there was like a tiny room and like 13 cribs. And they would
Ooh,
like speed feed these babies, speed bathe the babies. The smell in
oh,
there was horrible because they're all cloth diapers. Like, if I didn't have those experiences, I probably would have hated foster care.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
And
yeah, you know, being in active addiction can have long, far-flung, far-reaching consequences,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
I would have been thinking a lot straighter if my life had not been so absorbed with
Mhm.
drinking, using, and that life, just and the people that I was around and,
Yeah. Yeah.
my dad almost put me and my brother up for adoption, but my grandmother put a stop to it. Right on. Yeah. And you never know why people want to adopt. They can tell you one thing, but they may not tell you the real reason, and they may not even know the real reason, but it can go really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I am contemplating reaching out to my mom's birth family kin. Okay. Well, I would like to encourage you in that, and yeah, I hope that will go
Yeah.
well for you. That I'm sure they would love to meet you. Do you happen to know if they know about you? Yeah. How do you not question? How do you not want to know? You
Mhm.
know, I wonder, it makes me wonder if the people that say they don't want to meet their birth families, if it's more fear than any fear of the unknown than anything. Because I mean, how do you not be curious about
Yeah.
where you came from? You know,
I don't know.
I'm not trying to take away from anybody who makes that decision, but
Right. Right.
I would like to know, what the main reason is, you know? I always
Well,
wanted to belong to a family. Go ahead. Well, what?
oh, I was just gonna say, I think how, you would want to know your family history, I would think. I don't know that I would do good not knowing. I mean, but I got kind of a cool family. Like, they're all
Yeah.
okay. So we are going to dinner and a movie. So I am gonna hop off. So you guys
Okay.
have a good night. I told Michael, I
You
said
too.
when he got done, holler at me, and I'd hop right off. So you guys have a good night, and I will see
You
you
too.
tomorrow.
Good night.
Okay.
Have fun.
See
I always
you.
wanted to belong to a family that loved, understood, and accepted me. Yeah, I got to experience that profound love when I had my own family and the friends and family I've made as an adult. Right on, Henny. And I know that you have been able to create that everywhere you go. You've created it here even, and yeah, I can relate to that. There were a lot of ways that I did not feel accepted by my dad. He kind of rejected me at a young age, even though I had to grow up in the same household with him. He kind of abandoned me emotionally because I told the truth one time, and it hit a little bit too close to home. And it just showed me later in life what low emotional reserves he had. And I don't know what got him there, but you know, you don't reject your 6 or 7-year-old daughter unless there's something really, really profound going on. Because before that we were tight.
Yeah.
I was his little girl. I was the apple of his eye, and then I wasn't. Just like that.
It was a light switch.
And it never got turned back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that experience so young, do you find yourself feeling as if in other relationships, maybe not specifically with Steve, but in other romantic relationships, friendship, family, that people are just going to turn on and off the love like that?
Huh. I don't know that I would have put it in those terms, but I'm sure that was part of what I was functioning through, is that fear of that happening.
Okay.
And my first husband definitely exploited that fear. Definitely.
Okay.
Without question.
Snipped it out. That was the abusive one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they sniff it out.
Yeah. It wasn't so much abusive as it was neglectful,
Okay.
He only really did anything that had to do with the relationship when I was breaking up with him. Otherwise, if I wasn't breaking up with him, he could care less. It made it very apparent that he could care less.
Yeah.
I tried to look for my parents since the internet came out, and I've had 3 different types of DNA tests done and nothing. So eventually I gave up searching. I'm sorry, Heather. I'm so sorry. Lordy.
Yeah. I asked that question maybe more selfishly as well, because I find myself struggling with that. And I'm trying to find, I can see different occasions in my life where that's been the fact. And I'm trying to figure out exactly where it originates from to be able to best deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a fear that I have. I fear that people will turn on and off the love like a light switch, because I'm leaving something that was like that.
Yes.
Like, I've analyzed through foster care. I don't feel that was the case at that point. But if I look further back, then I feel like even my biological family did that in a sense.
Right.
And I'm trying to untangle, was that, like, I lived with my grandmother before foster care for about 6 months, but we didn't know at that time, but she did have early onset Alzheimer's. And there was times where she thought that I was my aunt instead of me.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I don't remember very much from mom's time, and stories that I've heard and even reading through her journal, it feels like it was turned on and off with her too. So I ask just because it's almost where the light at the end of the tunnel. knowing that somebody else has been through it, hearing that, you can work through it, it's probably going to be a struggle for a bit until I'm able to find the source, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
Right on. Oh, Lordy. We make choices, don't we?
Yeah.
Not always good ones. Yeah. And then I joined a cult.
I was meaning to ask you.
I mean, nothing. I mean, of course, if you're crazy enough to, I don't know many of the women that I've met that didn't spin out in some kind of way if they gave their children up for adoption. And that just, at first it was substances and then it was extreme religion,
Mhm.
Well, yeah, one's
I
often.
mean, when you look at it through those lenses, it makes perfect sense that I joined a cult.
Yes. Yes.
And there, I come to find out there was actually a recovery group that became a cult. They started. I wish I could remember the name of it, but they actually went off the deep end. They started. I wish I could remember the name. They actually started worshiping. I kid you not, their leader, and
Wow.
yeah, they went off
And it was
the.
a sobriety group? It was a
Yeah,
sobriety thing?
it was.
Was it a
But
religious-based
The
one
church they're
or?
signing on?
it was a religious based one, and I'm not worried at all about Tommy's group going that way, because Tommy, that's one thing I appreciate about Tommy's group is there's always feedback, and
Mhm.
there's a little bit of headbutting, which I actually, not that conflict's necessarily a good thing to go looking for, but that's one of the hallmarks of what you're in isn't a cult, is when you have
The
any kind of
freedom.
agreement.
Yeah, the freedom
Yeah,
to push back on something or
yeah,
to question. Yeah.
it was kind of goes back to one of the things that you had talked about with your leader, that he was just kind of, that you told him, that you confronted him about this being possibly a negative group or whatever, and that he was just kind of floored. That is typical. Keith Raniere even tried that with the cult expert Rick Ross. He tried doing his little mind control thing, which Keith Raniere was actually incredibly stupid, but which people think cult leaders smart, and actually the evidence says otherwise. But Keith Raniere started believing his own press so much. When Rick Ross, he tried suing Rick Ross. That was one of the things Keith Raniere stole from Scientology. He stole everything from either Amway, Scientology, or Ayn Rand, believe it or not. But
Was
he
that a
was.
cult? Was her thing a cult?
No, it wasn't. But he stole from her writings, and
Oh,
that was
okay.
one of the things that he was renowned for, stealing from other things. And Rick Ross apparently had been in a lawsuit with him where he was trying to sue Rick Ross because Rick Ross said he steals everything. He says, "No, this is my intellectual property. You can't steal." It's like, you stole all this. But at one point, Rick Ross has tried to say, "I'm the mind master. I can tell you have hurt deep inside you." And Rick's like, "I don't care about your philosophy. I think you're an evil man." But Rick kept trying his little mind control trick. And what he didn't realize is that this isn't somebody who you've been, just happening. And the reason why he was able to do the cult thing is he stole it from L. Ron Hubbard. This isn't somebody who's been conditioned. This is somebody you met who you haven't conditioned or anything. Not only that, he's a cult expert. So he's actually fairly immune to it. But yeah,
Yeah.
apparently it was in the middle of the lawsuit, and Rick Ross became visibly angry, and he was just red with anger because somebody wasn't buying his spiel. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Whew.
But yeah, Tommy's not like that at all. Tommy gets feedback from his brother. He gets feedback from us. People disagree quite a bit, and Yeah, Tommy's fairly well open to that, so I
Yeah.
know we're in a good group.
Yeah. I have a spidey sense for cult leaders
Yeah.
now. Was in a
Can we
cult for
pass
10
that on to
years.
me?
So
Well, that another hallmark is of a cult. Another hallmark is they have the answers. Just this morning, Tommy was talking about, I can't remember. Somebody basically said, "I'm going to check out" or something like that, and Tommy pleaded with them to, okay, if we're not the group, that's okay. Find another group, find AA, find
yeah.
something you're comfortable with, and work this
Yeah.
out. So yeah,
Yeah.
you'll never see that in a
Yeah.
cult. It's like always them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
they need you only there to indoctrinate you in
Yeah,
everything that they want you to believe, I would assume, right?
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Mm.
kind of the way it worked in the one that I was in is you you spent he'd do 3 and 4 hour sermons 3 times a week, sometimes
Ugh.
more. And spinning a little thing for you and getting, to, you know, getting your mind in a certain mindset, and then he didn't have to do anything else from there. The doctrine took over and
Yeah,
would be the constant policing of your
yeah,
thoughts and words and deeds, you know?
yeah. And,
Mhm.
and and that's the state they try to get you, and they'll take you when you're in a conflict. And they'll tell you're in a conflict, and then it's like we have the answers. And once they get you to that point, they're able then to freeze you into that state of being, and then yeah, all they have to do is maintain. They control the information you get. You're not allowed to ask any questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
God forbid you ever question
yeah,
the man of God,
yep,
God's mouthpiece, so to speak, the anointed of the Lord.
I love the face that you're making at the same time. It's just perfect.
you don't buy it anymore. Come on. But yeah, and that is one thing in your defense. Nobody intentionally goes out and joins a cult.
No, and
Yeah,
they do feel good at first. It's
yeah,
like they give you answers,
yeah,
and
Mhm.
most people that are joining cults are searching for those answers.
yeah.
The answers that you really don't get in life. The
Hmm.
answers that nobody gets in life that I've ever met. We just go we have our best guess and that's about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
yeah. Well,
know?
even that lunatic who was locked up in jail was another guy who wasn't. A lot of people say he was a mastermind. Nah, I disagree. I contend the guy was a loser. What was his name? He had a swastika on his forehead. Helter
Oh,
Skelter.
Charles Manson?
Chuck Manson. Yeah, good old
Yeah.
Chuck. Yeah, he would just babble most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and the whole some questions have no answers. Yeah, that's just it. And but they have those answers. They have them packaged in a nice neat little package that you can kind of wrap your head around. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, yeah. You know, just enough truth
Yeah,
all sandwiched with the lie,
yeah, yeah.
and
And oftentimes what they're even telling you is not necessarily the truth. It's just their perception, but they're so good at selling it. Like in Keith Ramirez, he was an Amway salesman. Granted, he failed at it, but still, he had that Amway and MLM thing. So he was an experienced salesman.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's some people that just are skilled at
Yeah.
getting you to believe whatever they say.
Well, yeah, that and the thing is, a lot of times we like to think we're resilient to hypnosis or influence, and the thing is, we're not. If we, it's not a static thing. We have differing levels depending upon what kind of mood we're in to influence. And if you think that influence doesn't work, um, why do attack political ads work? Why does advertising work? That's
Yeah,
convincing you to do something. It's not always in your best interest.
That's right.
Usually they want your money for some cheap Chinese made piece of crap. And Tommy's in here. I mean, nothing. I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah,
Mm,
you got something there, Tommy. Yeah, I learned that the lesson wasn't as important as the pursuit of that lesson. Yeah. I wish that I hadn't burned myself out on, the answers,
mm,
because I have become fairly jaded, and it's sad. I used to not be so
yeah.
jaded. In fact, I wasn't very jaded at all. I guess that's how I was able to get God, you know.
Well,
It's what made me such good cult material.
well, it's just the natural. Hopefully the pendulum will eventually swing back.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope so. I just realized the other day that I don't remember my own age. For all this year I've been thinking I was 57 and I'm 58 and I'm going on 59.
I I so identify with
I
that.
didn't know I didn't believe people that when they said that happens, but guess what? It happened
Yeah,
to me.
yeah. And I had to look at my
So
blood test results, and yeah, it's like,
all that
they
to
got
say
me
that
wrong.
I'm staring 60 down the barrel, and I do hope that I can get some of that back. I don't know if it's possible at this age or not, or this stage, but
I don't think it's ever too late. And to be honest, getting to know you, like I know that you say, just like I do, I say that I'm a jaded person, and then there's a lot more caring in there as well. And that's, I think if you focus on that too a little bit instead of just on the jaded, it might help that thought a little bit, because I see it. I see the amazingness. I see the caring. I see all of that. But it's your
thank you.
experiences, and we focus on the negative. As I think we were
Yeah.
talking about this a couple of days ago. We always see our own negative first,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yes.
Mhm.
Well, that and
Yeah.
one of the big cures for something like that would be this is completely original. I didn't steal it from anybody, especially anybody in this chat. Connection.
Something for that connection thing.
Somebody might have said it. I just can't remember who.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fact. Where are we at? So I'm 4.5 months now on marijuana, 5.5 months on everything else. And if it wasn't for the connections I started finding like a couple of months before that, it probably wouldn't have worked out for me getting sober this time. Oh, that was Tia. I didn't even notice it.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
And
I'm really excited for that 6-month point. Like it's that 6-month point the first time around, because I was clean for 15 years before this. Like I had a big clean 15 years.
Oh, wow.
2 years before my daughter is when I stopped taking MDMA, and that's my toxin.
Okay.
Because I really wanted to have a kid, and my ex and I we're really gonna try. But I had to get sober, and that was the most difficult thing. And it was the individual that brought everything back. And I think my hatred kind of clouded my I want to get sober for a long time in this last little stint, this last little relapse.
Yeah.
Because it was, I need to not be angry. I need to not be angry. So if I use, I won't be angry. And then as soon as I sobered up, it was back. Not was I only angry with them, but I was horrified with myself.
Yeah.
So, but I think once I get to that 6-month mark, I remember before it was so much easier. And then that 1 year mark. And then I think Tommy had said it recently. Once you get to that 1 year mark, you've done it. You've done it. Just keep going. So
yeah,
I look forward to that. I really do.
And you have grown so much. I just feel like there's no going back for you,
No. And this will be the first time I ever live alone in my life. Like I'm actually beyond excited for that. And I never thought I would say that. I never did. Ben looks curious. He's like, but you're so young and like this. And my ex and I met when I was 15, and we started living together when I was 16. And then when him and I separated, it was only 6 months before I was in the next relationship.
Yeah.
And I did not live alone for long. My first ex worked away from home, so it was easier to live in the same house because it was like a lot of days on and like 2-3 days home. So for our daughter's sake, it was easier to live close together, if not together. So Damn, this connection idea. I love that.
I heard it from somebody. Doesn't use a lot of hair gel though, but yeah.
No.
Oh, I'm so good to get it.
I ended up going and finally watching so I ended up having to watch the evening lifeboat in the morning. So I try to catch the morning one live and then watch the replay of the night before. Otherwise, I'm up until 2:00 in the morning. Like my brain, I'm just like, I can't sleep now. Now I just can't. So I've had to implement this routine. And oh my God, that call-in looks so much fun. That looks like so much fun.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and that's one of the ways you can tell if you're an extrovert or not. A lot of people think extroverts are just out there a lot, and introverts are always reserved. And it's like, actually, it's just where you get your energy from. If you're around a group of people, you come away and you feel energized by it, probably an extrovert. But yeah, that's one of the things that keeps me up, something like that. And then it's like, I can't, just watching it, I couldn't go to sleep for a while.
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
Go
ahead. No,
I was just going to say it reminded me of, for whatever reason, Art Bell, Coast to Coast. Call in. Everybody calls in about UFO stories, things like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was watching something about Mel's Hole the other day, or Steve was watching it. That's kind of in his wheelhouse, the stuff that he likes to watch on YouTube. And Art Bell is the reason we know about Mel's Hole. Literally a bottomless hole where you drop a big old appliance down in it and you never hear a crash.
Interesting.
And now nobody knows where Mel's Hole is. It's interesting.
I bet you Tommy knows.
Yeah, that's thanks to Art Bell.
All right, guys. As much as I don't want to, I'm going to have recovery management here in 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm going to end up getting myself a tea and allowing my one last addiction, which is my nicotine, before I jump into the next video call.
Right on.
All right. Oh, there goes the alarm.
You give them what for? You let them know who it is they're dealing with.
I'm gonna have to let them know. Like, can we delay this at all? Because like you're cutting into my other meeting time now.
Hey, a quick question about that, if it's okay. When you get a place of your own, are you still going to have to be part of that particular thing, or can you do a different thing? Or
I need to complete this program for the full 13 weeks. Today is week 6. After that, I can choose to go into another program or continue with this one. I might continue, to be honest. It depends on all the topics that I end up hitting in the 13 weeks. But when I do move, it's going to be more bilingual. So there will be English options through Le Virage in that area in the Eastern Townships. So I might start going in person. See how this in-person thing goes.
Yeah, right on. I like that.
Yeah. So that might be the only difference when I get there, but for sure I have to continue with the Zoom one for 13 weeks, and then after that I can choose a different system.
Yeah. Right on.
All right.
Good. Okay.
Good night, y'all. Love you. Talk to you later. Talk to you tomorrow.
Okay. What do you think? chat, give a 2 in the chat if you're still needing a meeting, and we can do it via the chat here, or you can pop in here. I can toggle you in, and we can have a meeting. And put a 3 if you feel like you've had a meeting, 2 if you still need a meeting, 3 if you feel like, yeah, I'm good, we've had a meeting. Let us know.
You know, it was one of
Yeah,
those. I was kind of surprised that he knows what Mel's Hole is.
yeah,
Wow,
right
he
on.
he's really varied.
All right, seeing some 3s. Hey, Shell.
I was going through the this is a DSM-5. It's used by psychiatrists and therapists to pretty much diagnose mental conditions. Um, it's peer reviewed. It's got
Okay.
a table of a gazillion people who work on it, all with all kinds of letters after their name.
And what's the
One of the,
subject matter of it?
it's for a diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders. It's pretty much
Oh,
used by yeah, by therapists and whatnot. But the thing I found surprising about this that I'd never really noticed about it, nowhere in it will you find a um, psychopath. They just put that under ASPD, which would be antisocial personality
personality
disorder,
disorder.
and
Okay.
it's one of those things. You sit down, and you think about it, and like, okay, it makes sense because actually, psychopath is actually a medical diagnosis, not a
Really?
psychological, because
Really?
you're actually missing parts of your brain. Well, they're either missing or non-functional, but that's what makes a psychopath.
Oh,
And a lot of people say, a sociopath.
interesting.
There really is no such thing as a sociopath, but a lot of people use the term to basically mean somebody who's learned behavior that's antisocial, like somebody in ISIS who they see people beat to death and things like. So if you're exposed to that enough, yeah, that's basically taught out of you type of thing. Uh, Sandy, it's lengthy. Yes, it is, and I'm amazed that you will find stuff in here like nicotine, no, not caffeine overdose. There's things like that in here. There's things in here like um, shift
Whoa.
work, non 24-hour shift work, things like that. It's like
Wow.
you're annotating that and you're missing psychopath, but it makes sense. So,
I did not know that was a medical diagnosis and not a psychological one.
yeah. I don't know when that shifted, but you know, that's one thing. I'd rather have this bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. Sorry, couldn't help it. I had to end with something like that.
Lord have mercy on us.
Yeah.
Ben, you might like the book, The Psychopath Test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also works on narcissists. But yeah,
Now, is that a
psychopaths
medical or a psychological diagnosis?
narcissists would be a psychological, but all
Okay.
psychopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths. You have histrionic and stuff like that in there. But PTSD using DSM-5. Yeah.
What is that?
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
No, what's DSM-5?
Oh, that's this silly thing.
Oh, okay.
There's also a revised version, which I'm waiting, but yeah, it gets lengthier.
Wow. Sounds like a real page turner too.
It's like reading the phone book. Yeah.
What's the Tom Waits reference? I don't get it. I love Tom Waits sometimes. If I'm in
Okay.
the right mood.
I got him confused with the guy from the true crime guy in Colorado. What was his name? He did the chained elephant. Oh, come on. Hostage plane. That's going to bug me. Oh, well.
Well, so we got some threes. What do you think? Have you had a meeting, Ben?
I have.
Right on.
I was so glad to get my Christie update. That was...
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
I do like how she handles conflict. She does have a lot of intermediate steps. People like me who have no conflict or extreme, but I miss the nuances in between. She's really good at that. I could learn a lot by her.
I love that she set that guy back to reality.
She's skilled. She is skilled.
She's
She's
very
something.
skilled. That was amazing.
Oh yeah, DSM-3. It actually had a few additions this doesn't have, but yeah.
Good to
Well,
see you guys.
I do hope you have yourself a most awesome day, and
I hope you do too.
I hope the behavioral correction on the donkey continues to go well.
Yeah, he seems to be doing pretty good. I'm almost scared to say that, but
your segregated housing of the animals into their various pens.
yeah, we switched pastures, and I haven't switched sleeping arrangements, so it's a little hectic in the morning now, but I'll get that figured out eventually.
You take care, and you have yourself a
You
great day.
too. You too, Ben. Thanks. Bye. Thanks, you guys. Good meeting. Good to see everybody. I'm sorry I didn't do the typical each and every one of you making an acknowledgement. I just started taking off a little faster than my poor little brain could deal with, which is a good thing. But anyway, whoo, I touched on some stuff that I'm gonna have to go journal about, y'all. I didn't even know that was in there so strong as it is right now. So yeah, I'm gonna go journal and process some stuff. Thank you guys so much for this meeting. Thank you for being part of it. I love you guys, and I hope to see you again next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all.